Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I hope you're all doing good today and you are ready for the next stage of our research preparation. If last week what you did was analyzing and interpreting the data that you have collected from the work, now what you're going to do is presenting the results of this research to the wider audience. And when we talk about presenting research results, please remember that when you do literary research, it is not only for a thesis, it can also be for an essay, it can also be for a video essay, it can also be for a podcast and anything, basically anything where you can deliver the result of your interpretation or the results of your attempt to answer certain questions about literary works. And today I'm going to show you the basic general presentation of the results of your research. And at the end, later on, we will focus this more on preparing your materials for your thesis, okay? Now, let me share with you what I have prepared here. All right, first of all, when we are presenting the results of our research, there are three things that you need to consider, okay? These are the basic concepts that you have to bear in mind. The first one is this will be to organize research results, okay? The results of our research will be scattered, will be all over the place, but the challenge for us is to present that in a way that is clear and convincing to our audience. And the second thing is that the main goal of this is to answer the question that you have posed at the beginning of the process. If at the beginning you ask a question like, what kind of society uh, does the character in The Aged Mother live? Then the main goal of this presentation of research results is to answer the question, okay? And then your second goal is to make the answer convincing and sound to the audience. And what do I mean by convincing or sound? Basically, just like when you studied inferential reading, the quality of a good argument is when you can present the claim, you have the evidence, and you have the warrant. And that's exactly what you are now going to do. All right, now let's continue with the next things. First of all, how do you answer the question with the results of your research? So this is what you can do. First of all, you gather the assertions that you have made in the data. You know, last week I showed you how you can try to answer a question by collecting data, quotes, or summaries, and then you explain further, and then you relate that to theories, and eventually you come up with a claim or what I call an assertion. So what you are now going to do is gathering all the assertions. And then after you gather the assertions, you synthesize them. You synthesize these many assertions. Synthesizing means compiling into one, thinking how they match with each other and how they can be together to achieve a certain goal. So after doing that, you synthesize those assertions, and this will be the answer to the question that you have posed. Okay, right. So I can visualize it like this. Okay, what you did was, first of all, you gather one data, you explain the data, you give further elaboration to your explanation by relating it to critical theories that you learned from literary appreciation class or many other things. And at the end, you come up with this thing called claim. And this claim is also an assertion. That's for one data. Then in another data, you also do the same thing. You explain, you give a further explanation relating it to theories, and finally you come up with an assertion. You have something again like this, and you do that the third time. Now you have at least 3 assertions right here. Maybe you think it's enough for you to answer the questions, or maybe not, because when you write a research, a thesis, then usually answers like this will be a lot, okay? You will have a lot of data, and with each of your data, you will have to do explanations. And then you synthesize them, you put them together into one to answer question number 1, for example. And this question will definitely include one claim or thesis statement, and there will also be critical theories there that you have included. So include that in the answer. If you want to summarize all of this, it can be in one paragraph. Or if you want to extract it even further, you can have a one sentence answer to the question. If the question is just one sentence, then the answer needs to be able to be summarized into one section, one sentence. And that answer is also going to be your thesis statement. And thesis statement is what you need when you want to write an essay, right? So if you have 2 questions, then you will at least have 2 thesis statements that you will be able to use to develop into chapter 4. So each of these thesis statement will be one section in chapter 4. Remember, when you write an essay, a thesis, every section is supposed to be an essay. Everything is an essay in a thesis. Chapter 1 is one essay that will introduce to your audience the background of your research and your purpose, and eventually the limitations, for example. Chapter 2 is also one big essay about what people have done earlier and what theories will help you understand the work better, and so on. Now, chapter 4, it will be consisting of essays. If you have, for example, 2 questions, you will at least need to have 2 essays. But in addition to that, you will also have a conclusion essay or a conclusion section. So yes, this thesis statement will be the core of one of the essays that you will write in chapter 4. It will be probably becoming 4.1. If the questions are, what kind of society does the main character of The Aged Mother live? And the answer is the society where this character lives in is a yada 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 society. So your 4.1 will be yada 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 society. And the thesis statement will be the answer to the question, and the content will be, I will tell you further about that, okay? But now let's suffice it to say that the answer that you have synthesized out of the assertions will become a thesis statement, which you will develop into one section of chapter 4. Right. Now let's go to the next one. Now, how do you present those? Okay. You have just found out, or you have just decided a thesis statement for each question. Now, how will you present the whole answer, not just the thesis statement? This is what you will do. First of all, we need to realize that between quantitative and qualitative researches, there are different emphases. In quantitative in a quantitative research, the most important thing that you have to present is the accuracy of the calculation, because you have to calculate. You will have formulas, you will have statistics software to use. And in addition to that, you will also need to be able to explain the calculation clearly and convincingly. That's in quantitative essay. It's numerical data, and you will have a quantitative result, but still you will need to be able to present that, to explain that quantitative result that you have. And if you are doing qualitative, okay, The presentation will be, or the quality will be judged based on the thick description. Thick description here basically means describing the result of your research a lot. Okay, you will have a lot of description, and the description will have to be a lot because it has to cover the various aspects of the research, the various aspects of the findings. As you know, we cannot just represent the results of this kind of research in numbers, right? So the best way to do that, if not with numbers, is by giving the thick description, a lot of description, so that it can capture a lot of things. So that's what will judge the quality of your research. Next, how do we present that? Then it's basically like writing a big essay, okay? Like I mentioned to you earlier, from the assertions, you synthesize them into one answer, and that answer is your thesis statement. And that's what you will write in, for example, 4.1, where you answer the question number 1. So what you will need to present is the answer to the question, of course, and then the support is also important because, like I said, the quality of an argument lies in the completeness, the comprehensiveness of claim, evidence, and warrant, right? Now, this is what you will have to give. The support will be your evidence, but there will be more evidence in that, okay? Let us say that each of the data will become a support. For example, this one, you have found one data about the interest of people in shining in power, physical power over mental power or wisdom. That's assertion 1. And you will explain that to become support number 1. You might want to write it as 4.1.1. You might just use a paragraph for this. It doesn't really matter as long as you have that. And then finding number 2 will be explained and you will use it for support number 2. Finding number 3 is also the same way, and so on. And at the end, like an essay, you have a concluding paragraph where you summarize whatever you have presented earlier to make your point clear. So this is basically how you will do 4.1. I hope at this point you have a visual picture of what it will be like writing one of the sections in your essay. But I believe you must be wondering, what should I do with support 1? How do I know the quality of my research? Now, this is what you will do. This is how you will develop each of the support, okay? Now, first one is you need to have the topic as usual. The topic, and the topic will be taken from the assertion. And then after that, you will have the evidence. Evidence will be quotes, paraphrases, summaries, and so on. And the next thing is the explanation. The explanation of the quote. Remember, I told you long ago that when you quote something and you don't explain it, it's like hitting and running, hitting somebody and then running away. Or it's like adopting a cat without giving it a proper introduction to the family. So the cat will still feel like a stranger. And your quote here will also feel like a stranger in the paragraph. So after you quote, after you paraphrase, of course, you have to explain that. And then you will have to relate this to a further elaboration. And this is where the critical theories will play a major role, okay? This is how you will include theories from psychology, from sociology, maybe feminism, maybe eco-criticism, and so on. You will include that here. And to make it easier, let me visualize it with what you have gathered. For example, for the first finding, here, the claim that you can find in the second column, This will be your topic. This will be your assertion. And then the evidence here, the quote or the summary or the paraphrase will be your evidence. But usually before you go to the evidence after stating your claim, you will need to, restate the claim in a different word, in a different sentence, in different words, so that it can be less, clearer. It can be clearer, less vague. And then for the elaboration, it will be your explanation. And finally, you relate that to critical theories to support your answer. This will give the edge to your argument. If you don't give further elaboration from theories, well, I don't say it is not good. Many people write criticism without employing theories, but of course it will have less sharpness, less edge, and it will not give as much elaboration or enlightenment to the reader as when you give critical theories, use critical theories to help you explain some of the things in the work. And I guess that's all I have to say about presenting the result of your research. So keep in mind that it is important for you to be able to organize the results of your research. And then the main purpose of all this is to answer the question that you have posed. And the second important thing is to be able to deliver the answer to the question clearly and convincingly. And to do that, you will have to present it like I said earlier in the video. All right, I guess that's all, everyone. Thank you very much for paying attention to the explanation. If you have any question, let us discuss it in MS Teams soon, okay? Bye.